Welcome back to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best producers and DJs from around the world and live performing artists. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we're in the virtual studio sitting up here in Seattle, Washington with none other than Elohim coming in all the way from LA, right on the Pacific Coast with us. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm feeling really good, actually. I feel great. I played some tennis this morning. I'm at the studio. I'm feeling good.
Tennis. Are you an avid tennis fan? Or you just play, like, how active are you?
I love tennis. I used to play when I was a kid, and then I picked it back up a little over 2 years ago, probably like 2.5 years ago. And then during the pandemic, it seems like everybody got into tennis. Everyone's like, let's play. And I'm like, well, are you good?
You know, it's funny. I grew up with a racket in my hand. My dad was a very avid. He was a very avid tennis player. He played racquetball, pickleball. He got into the health club circuit, working in health clubs. So my daycare, when I went to the health club with my dad, was going into a racquetball court for hours and playing racquetball. Yeah, so a lot of, when people say, "Oh, I play racquetball," I'm like, "Oh, but do you really play racquetball?"
Wait, no. Everybody picked up tennis during the pandemic, so they're like, "I play tennis, like, let's play." Like, everybody would just be DMing me, asking me to play. Cloud post, playing all the time, and it's like there's definitely like different levels of playing tennis, and like it's just one of those sports that it's not fun if you're not playing with somebody that's at your level or like a little bit better. It's not fun if you're not. That's the only reason why. Like, I'm not an asshole. I'm just like, it's not fun.
No, it makes sense. I mean, if you know where to place the ball each time, and they're just running around and they're not getting it, you're like, I'm just serving to a dead court. I get it. Okay. But speaking about starting things at an early age, you started at the age of 5 playing the piano and writing songs. Do you remember what inspired you to take that up and start doing that?
So my brother, like my big brother, he played guitar and he got really good super young. And to me, I was like, oh, like the girly version of music. Our brains are very strange when we're little. I was 4 or 5. So to me, I was like, oh, the girl version is piano, which is ridiculous. But so that was my initial why I wanted piano. And I grew up very, very, very humble beginnings. And a huge treat was because I wanted to start. My dad was working at a guitar store, like a music store, and they were getting rid of an old piano that was in one of the like lesson rooms, and they were like, "We'll give it to you for $100." So that was so he brought home $100 piano, and that was what I learned on for most of my childhood. And so yeah, that was the beginning of it. That was why I started. And then, I quickly got into classical music, and it kind of seems like that's just what you're sort of put into when you're a kid. And I would advance because my parents just like pushed me to practice a lot and kind of forced me to practice a lot. So yeah, that was why. And then I would just kind of like noodle around, and I was always getting in trouble with the piano teacher because I just always did things my own way.
It's such an interesting parallel that when I was a younger child as well, my brothers were musicians. Well, my brother Rob, he was more the forefront lead singer of the punk rock bands they were in, and Kurt was more the guitarist. And started at a very early age. My dad kind of lavished a lot of attention towards that, where we had our own mini studio in the house, and with a keyboard and rack mounts and 8 tracks and 4 tracks and all this kind of stuff. And my brother's never gotten the technical kind of thing. I went technical. I would read the manuals and be reading. I'm 10 years old reading about what MIDI is when MIDI had just first come out, really. It's kind of crazy stuff like that. But I ended up going more towards and playing with Dad's video camera. Cool. And went towards the video thing. So they were the musicians. I was the videographer. Hence why I do video and live stream and all the stuff I do now. But, the journey along the way has led you to some amazing collaborations, experiences. And Felix Cartel, the collab with Felix just recently, Nothing Good Comes Easy.
Yeah.
The latest just came out. How was that? How was making that? How did that come about?
So it's always kind of different with collaborations because sometimes you sit in a room and you start from scratch and you make a whole song in a day. And then the cool thing about electronic music is so many of these producers are so proficient on, producing and making beats and stuff. And it's really great to be able to, I have folders of just acapellas and songs that I've written. And I like to, record proper vocals and stuff, and I produce as well. But it's really fun to sort of hear somebody else's. So I actually had this top line. I had totally other production, and I was never really sold on the production that I had. And so I was like, you know what? I love this top line. I'm going to see who I could send it to. And Felix and I had been wanting to do something together. And so I was like, it was the pandemic and it's so weird. I got so close with so many artists during the pandemic, which seems counterintuitive kind of because we were all locked in our houses, but so much of, collaborating has just been like me DMing somebody and being like, I love your music. Would you want to work with an acapella? And producers love acapellas because like the one thing that they don't really have is, singing voice and, all this top line. So that was really cool. So I had it, I just muted everything, sent him the vocal, and I think I woke up one day and I was like, wait, I have a great idea. And so I just texted it to him because we had been chatting, but we just hadn't, we met at a festival actually in Canada a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. And but yeah, so I sent him a top line, and he actually he was like, I love this so much. And he is such a perfectionist, and I know this now. So months went by, and he had sent me like a rough thing right when he got it, and then months went by, and I was like, I guess nothing's ever gonna happen with this. And then out of the blue, he sends me what you hear today, and it was just like, oh my gosh. He's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I literally thought that you were like, fuck this song. Sorry.
You're all good.
and he was like, no, I just like thought that I didn't do a good job. And it took me months to really like get to a place where I was happy with it. So he is like such a workaholic perfectionist to the best ability. And so I was really, really excited when he sent it. And I was like, okay, we have to put this out. So that was how that happened. And then we actually, a few weeks ago, he happened to be in LA. So we got in the studio and like made a song from scratch, which was really fun.
Nice. And on top of that, you also have, you just put all of the Journey to the Center of Myself videos and songs on a playlist on YouTube while you wait for the EP4 to come out. Yeah. What's that process been like? I mean, you're just going to seem like you've been busy.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the pandemic was weird. Like for the first time, I just had time and so much of it. And so now getting ready to put out this fourth EP, which is the first project I've ever released that is 100% written and produced by me. No one else's name will be on it, which is so cool. But like, I just set up a home studio when I was, during the pandemic, and I was just sitting at home watching a lot of TV and baking and stuff. And I finally like went and just like bought everything to make like this little home studio. And I didn't know if I would ever actually make anything. And every night, like I just felt really inspired, and I started making stuff in my bedroom, and I made this album. It's 8 songs. And I honestly was, when I was making it, I was like, this is the weirdest music I've ever made, but it's like what my brain sounds like. And it really made me feel, I guess, accomplished and way more confident in my writing and my producing and stuff. So yeah, it's just, honestly, it was just these 2 years of being home. I just created so much music, and I really like made this and was like, I'm never going to put it out. I'm just making this for fun. And now it's going to be the 4th part of the EP, which is so cool.
And what do you think that music producers should learn more about music theory? Or does it matter that much when it comes to dance music?
So I don't know. I mean, I've had such an interesting well, okay, so while I was producing this, I had a specific moment where I was like, I'm so grateful for my hands and the fact that I can like play so many different, parts and licks or whatever. Like, I feel really grateful for these because I was able to do so much. Like, I guess I didn't really realize it until I was at home by myself, creating this music by myself. And I was like, wow, I can really do everything because I do know chords. I know theory. I know this, I can play lines. I can play, synth lines and stuff. So that was really cool. And just having, an ear. So and having good taste, I think is a really big part of it. So yes and no, like I've been around producers who know nothing about theory and like slay on production, and it's kind of cool because it doesn't really get in the way. And then I've been with the complete opposite, which is like too much theory. They're like, well, it should go to this chord technically, and it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what it is technically. Like, does it feel and sound good? So I think a good combination of both is great. I'd say I'm somewhere like in the middle. I actually also, when I started learning to DJ during the pandemic, I realized I had an advantage because I know theory and I have a somewhat like decent ear just from, learning music and theory and chords and stuff. So yeah.
Where's been one of the weirdest moments you've ever heard one of your own tracks play?
I don't know. It's so weird. People send videos every day. Like I heard it in Taco Bell, like just really weird places, or like an Olive Garden, and like just like weird restaurants or hotels. And I've like never heard my music. But every day someone's like, I heard it in this store. I heard it here. And I'm like, how come I haven't heard it? I feel like there was somewhere where I heard one, but I can't even think about it.
You have to go to Target at 7:08 p.m. in this area, stand in the produce section.
Actually, a funny one was I'm obsessed with Palm Springs. I go all the time, and there's this coffee shop there that I love, and they knew that I loved it. And so I walked in with my mom one morning because we're all in Palm Springs, and my song was like started playing really loud, and I was like, they're fucking with me for sure. Like they know that I'm in here right now. My mom's like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And then they were like, oh yeah, we like saw you walk in, so we put it on. So that was like a fake version of hearing it somewhere.
and you also said, like we were talking a little bit pre-show about how you mentioned that people were referring to you as a DJ. You didn't want to be known as a DJ. You want to be known as a producer, a live musician, live artist. But I'm also researching. I find out you have a tour starting this year, 17 DJ sets and one live show with a stop in Seattle. Yes.
Oh, we get to hang out. Okay.
Yes.
Tickets, don't buy tickets. I got you on tickets.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to get you into we'll do the interview with you when you're here on site in May in our mobile studio. You'll love it. We just got back from Vegas on a road trip, Vegas and Arizona with it. We're playing up and down the strip.
That is awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah. Think of it like Willy Wonka's glass box elevator on the back of a truck with a concert grade sound system.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty cool. But you're on tour. We're here to talk about you. We can talk about me all day long. 17, how exciting is that to get back out there with tour dates? I mean, just knowing you're going to be going back out there.
It is really exciting, honestly. From day one, my live show was such a big part of what I did, the visuals. I wanted it to be, so DJs would always come to me being like, I want a show more like your show. I'm like, just stick to the USB. It's so much easier. Like my show, first of all, costs a lot of money. And second of all, so it's like your guarantee is just going into, putting the show on, which I felt good about doing that because, a lot of my friends though, who are bigger artists they put their guarantee into the show as well, because we're artists at the end of the day and creatives, and like all we want to do is put on like the coolest show and experience because we grew up watching amazing artists performing and stuff. So it's like, of course we want to do that. But with the pandemic, I was on like a really good trajectory with my live show. I was doing my headlining tour called the Group Therapy Tour in 2020. And I had only done, I think, like 8 or 9 of the shows. And there was, I think, 25. And these are my headlining shows, my baby. And then it was just like, tonight's the last show. And I was on a plane the next day and then did leave my house for a year and a half. So I'm excited. I'm also DJing and not doing my live show, which is exciting because it's just something new. And my live show can be very stressful. It's a one-woman show. I have keyboards. I'm singing. I'm running around. I'm playing. I'm, triggering pads and drums. And it's a lot. It took 10,000 hours of rehearsal to get to that place. And it's great on that show. And, people see it and they're like, wow, this is like nothing I've ever seen. So that's great, but I'm honestly excited for the DJ sets that I'm about to do because it's fun, it's different, and I also don't really know what to expect. I haven't done many, but it's exciting because it is something new, and I can travel just like me and one other person, not me and 5 people and 9 checked huge, bags of gear. So I'm excited because it's just gonna be a little different. But I still go out and play. Like the alternative is sitting at home, not going out and playing music. So it's like if I have to DJ, let's go. It's gonna be really fun, I think.
And can you give our DJ Sessions viewers a little taste of what is your live setup look like when you have a live? You mentioned a little bit of the components you had in there. You got keyboards and pads and
So it is okay. So I custom built. This was actually 2018. Coachella was the first time that I really used this. So I've had it for a while and I've seen other people actually have setups like this now. So I like to think I was the first because I custom built it with my creative director, Chase O'Black. So basically I've got 2 kind of cubes that are plexiglass.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing. Not plexiglass, but I'm terrible at explaining this. But if you put me in front of it, I could put on a great show, but explaining it, I'm like, but so they're all LED lights and those are, switching with the music. So I have a song called Buckets and it's all red and flashing. So it's these cubes that I have and they're see-through too. So it was really important for me to have it see-through because I dance a lot and my legs are weird. And so you can see through them, which is really dope. And then when it's dark, it looks so cool because you just see these 2 squares outlined, and it kind of lights me up enough so you can see me. So then I've got 2 keyboards originally. And I mean, I can still do it, but we had built it so there could be another tier on it, which was just next level. So I had that. And then I was doing so many shows that I was just like, I got to eliminate this second tier because it's just too crazy with traveling and stuff. So we eliminated that. So it's 2 keyboards, 2 mics, and then I've got 2 cameras on. So one is on this mic and it's facing my face. So you can see me on the LED wall. And then the other one has one facing my hands. And I played, I would say, the most on the left keyboard, some classical stuff. And so then that can be on the screen as well, intertwined and overlaid with all the visuals. Every song has very specific visuals. It's a whole journey. And I'm running around and singing and dancing and playing and triggering stuff. And it's a lot.
That sounds amazing.
And
wow. So okay, and moving that down, now you're moving over to a DJ side of things. Is it going to be like the traditional, some 3000s and a mix, a Nexus in the middle, or do you also require, any Ableton control pads or control surface or anything like that? Not
No computers, no Ableton, no microphone. I don't want any of it.
Awesome.
I'm DJing. I'm rolling up with a USB stick. That's it.
And a backup USB stick and a backup USB stick and a backup USB stick.
Maybe an SD card. I heard that works too.
Yeah. No, I recently just had to revamp some tech support when we were down in Vegas for our show, and was like, oh, okay, now make sure we have these flash sticks and backup flash sticks. And then the guys would show up with laptops and they wouldn't have the drivers for the laptops. And I'm like, okay, now I got to the audio patch you out of here into this. And it was fun. It was fun. Bless my technical knowledge of not freaking out, of being able to go, I know how to fix this.
Yeah, that's great. You know how to fix it. I'm a little bit nervous about, just because I've done 3 DJ sets in front of people. So I'm a little bit nervous as far as like if something went wrong. I haven't been, so basically my live show, I've done hundreds of shows. So like if something goes wrong, like I've figured out how, and I've got like my A rig, my B rig. And I know like if something goes wrong, I know my gear so well that I know how to like on the fly, like figure it out. But with DJing, like CDJs, you know, I've been trying to learn as much as possible. But like a lot of times with live shows, it's like you have to really just go through live shows. So it's like I feel like I'm starting at square one, whereas like my proper live show, like I've done hundreds of sets. So it's, you know, it's kind of second nature. But
you know, I'm pulling something back in my memory, and you see me kind of ducking down here. I'm texting a friend of mine.
Okay.
I think it was a while ago. It just popped in my memory. Did you ever have a setup on the stage where your name was in lights?
No.
Have you ever played Showbox at the Market in Seattle?
Yes.
I think I was at that show.
Really? I did tour with Alice in Wonderland, who's my best friend, but we didn't know each other at the time. That was how we met. In 2017, I did a tour with her, and that was when I played Showbox. We did 2 nights, but I don't know if I played it after that. But I am playing. That's where I'm playing on this next tour.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually live 2 blocks from there. So,
hey,
yeah, right down in the hood. Well, we won't go into that conversation right now, but I live in a very interesting part of Seattle. If you look up living above the McDonald's on 3rd and Pine in Seattle, it's all in the news.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm going to look it up as soon as we hang up.
Actually, you can look up thirdandcrime.org.
Oh my gosh.
It's a website that I manage. That's a whole nother story.
Gosh. Wow. I love it.
So back to music production. In your studio, what do you have in your studio setup? What does that consist of?
I have 3 studios that I work out of. Okay. Lucky me. So my brother's house, he built a beautiful studio underneath his house. It was just all dirt, and then he gutted it, and like they built an insane, like, gorgeous studio. Okay, so we had never really made music together. He made this studio in 2019, I think. I was on the road. I came home. I was like, oh my god, this is insane. He lives 1 mile from my house, so we're like, let's try making music together. And it was magic. And we made so much music. We made like Journey to the Center of Myself. We made I'm Lost. We made I'm the Greatest. We made so much music. And so that studio is where I keep all the synths. And so we've sort of like been collecting synths, and we've got a Prophet. We've got like the Fatty bass thing. I love like Critter and Guitari. They make these little cutie machines, and that's like on everything. But the Prophet is like my go-to. So yeah, his studio, and then he's insane on guitar. He's a professional guitar player, and like he's insane. So he's got lines and lines of guitars, which is great. But yeah, we've got a ton of synths over there. So that whenever we're working together, it's pretty much like all analog. And then I've got my home studio. That literally just a nice Native Instruments MIDI keyboard and my computer and speakers. That's all I need. There's so many amazing, plugins and stuff that have so many sounds. So that's what I do at home. I like to sample and chop stuff up, and then just use tons of soft synths, which sound incredible. And then I've got this amazing studio in Santa Monica, and this is where I track my vocals because I refuse to track my own vocals. And we've got this wonderful chain going on here. And I only track my vocals with an engineer because otherwise I wouldn't want to sing ever. I like hate myself.
You remind me of back when I was a kid. We used to play with the cassette recorders, and we record our voice and be like, "That's not me. That's not what I sound like."
Not what I sound like. I had to like get over your voice, speaking voice, and my singing voice. Yep. Now I'm so used to it that doesn't really bother me at all. But I prefer tracking vocals with an engineer for definitely. Also, it's just so much more efficient, which is great.
So I'm assuming the video that you made titled "Where Are We Going?" seems like it's a little bit of a theme you have going on. The video you made where you're walking through the studio, that must be the Santa Monica location.
That is, yes. I'm here now. This is one of the rooms. Actually, I was first starting the Elohim project. This room was being built, and I was the first person to make a song in here, and I made my song Xanax in this room. And that was the first song to ever come out that was made in this room. So yeah, this is actually the smaller room at the studio, and then this is the C room. There's a B room and an A room, and this is just like my family here. And I don't work here that much. I'll show you. Actually, I rehearse here too. My live show. Hope this doesn't look too weird. But so like if you come on this side, then like my rehearsal space is in here, which is great. Yeah, it's awesome. And then I've got some art that people sent me. I'm obsessed with that. And then this one is so freaking cool. This, I always do this when I have it tattooed. And they made this like beautiful glass piece, or it's like plexiglass. And it's all these hands of, different friends that I've met.
Oh.
So they had that sent to me. So I don't work here too often, but I do a lot if I'm like getting ready to go on the road, because I've got all my gear, my like live show gear here.
So now, do you have pets?
No.
Oh, I saw a dog in the photo shoot the other day that you had. Is that
I'm always like around other people's dogs and cats and stuff because I don't have any. I'm like too much of a responsibility. I was like, I'm my own pet. But yeah, no, that was our friend Germano. That was his dog who came to the photo shoot. I'm actually kind of scared of big dogs, but so I was really scared of that dog, Cash, at the beginning of the shoot, and then by the end, we were besties.
It's awesome. What is the most difficult thing to deal with? You have this upcoming tour coming up. What's the most difficult thing to deal with when you're on tour?
Definitely like I just don't know when like my panic and anxiety and like dissociation will hit. So it's just there's no way of knowing. Like I could wake up and be like, oh, I'm totally fine. I'm going to get on a plane and I feel great. And then like I could land somewhere and be like, oh my gosh, I'm dissociating so bad right now. And then like sends me into a panic. So I guess that anticipation is like the hardest part for me when getting ready, as far as my brain goes. And then of course there's like the setting up of I guess you asked while on the road. Yeah, I guess while on the road, that's always just like anticipating like if I'm gonna be triggered, and if I am, how I'm gonna deal with it, and if I'm gonna freak out or if it'll be manageable. I think that was like I was originally asked to go on this tour just DJing, so they're like, oh, we have one spot on the bus. And I was like, me and my business partner, like, I was like, I got so anxious thinking about that. I was like, there's no way I can go alone without like someone really close to me. Cause like, and he's like, I agree. Like, I just wouldn't want you to be out there and like you have an episode and you're alone, So yeah, it sucks because I wish I could just like be one of those people. I was like, oh, I'll get on a plane tomorrow and go to Japan and I'm fine. I'll go by myself, like whatever, but like it's just not the reality of my life, which, is something that I've had to face, which is fine. It could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, having people, I was, like I said, I just did the road trip myself and I burnt out almost, if I had to do everything myself, if I didn't have a friend there with me, just even drive for 3-4 hours. And by the time I got there, I was ready to do business, but I had to take a day and a half off each place, and then even 3 days off when I got back home, just because the stress of I'm driving. I wish I had a tour bus driving me around. That would have been a lot different. But I'm having to drive my car around, and take on that responsibility. And oh my gosh, are we going to hit a patch of ice? I mean, it's not. But the anxiety that happens when you're on the road, it's not the same when you're in your hometown necessarily. I don't think, because there's so many things that could happen.
Or you get sick, God forbid. Like once I got pneumonia really bad on the road. Thank God I wasn't alone. Like I would have been, I don't even know how I would have gone through it. And so, being alone out there, even just like flying and stuff, like, I don't know, I don't love flying, and it's nice to have somebody with you, just like, or even like, it's nice to have somebody you're really close with, because like they can kind of snap you out of like the dissociation and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my biggest challenge with touring by far, is just the fear of being triggered and figuring out how to deal with that.
And do you ever sometimes get fed up with making and playing music and just need a break from it all? And when you do, what do you go to? What's your go-to? We mentioned tennis earlier. Do you just go out to the court, pick up a racket, and just...
Yeah. I like tennis. And then mostly I love television. Like I love watching TV. That's my favorite thing ever.
What are some of the things you're watching right now?
I mostly just watch reality TV, which I know it seems weird because people always think I would watch something so like intelligent, but I love the Housewives, all of the franchises of the Housewives, Bachelor, I'm watching Bachelor, Love is Blind, 90 Day Fiance. Like I watch like only reality TV.
You lost me at Bachelor. I don't even know those shows anymore.
It's like not good even. Like it was. So the reason I started watching Bachelor, I was alone and I had to fly for the first time in a long time. I had to fly alone to start the Black Bear tour, and we were starting in Vancouver. And I was at home and I started getting just like that pit in my stomach, sweaty palms. Like I was so anxious, like anticipating that I was about to have to go to the airport and like be alone. And I put on my TV, and it's like a Fire TV. So it just like shows like ads for stuff, and like Hulu, and it just like shows like what's new and stuff. And it was like this, and this was summer 2019. And it was like The Bachelorette. And I had never seen any of those shows, and I thought they were really stupid. But I was like desperate for something just so mind numbing. So I put it on, and it like helped my anxiety a lot. And then I just like throughout the tour, every like whatever night that it was on, I would watch it. And now 3 years later, I'm still watching it. And then during the pandemic, I got home and I was like, I hate music. I want nothing to do with it. Like, I feel like I've just been let down so many times. And, I was like finally on like my dream headlining tour, and it, got canceled and stuff and lost a lot of money. And, so I watched that's when I started watching Housewives. I had never seen Housewives either. I was going to start watching that. And then I baked a lot at the beginning, like everybody else. Bought weird things. And I made a gallery wall in my house.
Yeah, I'm a foodie. And so that was already a secondary thing for me to go to, cooking from home, not going out to restaurants, but I binge shows all the time too. And not necessarily the reality shows, but like I'm literally I started 2 days ago, just after decompressing. I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan.
Oh, cool.
So this is probably like the 7th time I've watched the series.
Oh, I love it.
And sometimes I'll run back, and I'm kind of a science fiction, more on that side of kind of things. Okay. So like every year I'll do Doctor Who all the way through, like from like all like seasons and stuff, or Star Trek or something like that. But just to relax, it puts me in a zone where, yes, I already know what's going to happen, even though I'm laughing at the punchlines or still intrigued by the show every single time it's on, but it
really is like comfort. It's like comfort food, but comfort shows.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say that.
Actually, for some reason, me and my best friend, Jared, who lives in Nashville, we watch Entourage like once every year. The whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now what they came out with, they have a way where you can do viewing parties now.
I know. Yes.
So everyone came to me in the in early 2020 like, how do I set up a video so we can live stream? We can all watch a movie online together. I go, well, one, that's not going to happen because of delays, and then two, and then they started making it so you could all watch it at the same time. I thought that was kind of a really cool feature. All the benefits and advantages that happened, the takeaways, I should say. Just like doing Zoom interviews. I would have never done Zoom interviews. All my interviews were in person, and I would have shied away from doing Zoom interviews just because I thought they were not personal.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no, I can talk to anyone in the world now and schedule an interview and get them on the show and have a great time with them. And it's not 5 or 7 minutes behind the stage.
Exactly.
And I get to see what their studio is where they made their first songs,
them to come to Seattle, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty wild how there are definitely positives that came out of this pandemic, I would say.
Yeah. So if you could change one thing that bothers you about the electronic music scene as a whole, what would that be, and how would you go about it?
I guess the part of the electronic scene that I don't really like is sort of the, I don't know, like the bro-y kind of just doing it for the clout and for the money. I've always been just an artist and such a creative, and I want to, build experiences. And I've seen, artists so much bigger than myself who get these big guarantees and then go up and don't put on a show. And to me, I'm like, I would dream to have your guarantee and like imagine the show that I could put on, So I guess the lack of care within the live show area, I guess that, and just in any industry, and especially in the entertainment industry, just be humble. I don't know, it just bugs me so much that people who just think they run this town and they've only lived here for 2 years and I was born here and they're just like not kind, humble people and are just too cool, and it's like, why? So the part that bugs me is just anyone who's not a kind human being, and a human, like we're all human beings. It's so weird. Any type of like artist that's just like thinks they're better than anyone it's not cool.
Yeah, I totally, the ego tripping, I've seen that at our local level here in our hometown. I very, very rarely experience it when dealing with artists and their PR people or their management. Very, very rarely. I've had one experience, it was a couple of years ago, and the person's like, well, I'm so-and-so and I book so-and-so for these kind of shows and I do this and I'm that. And I'm like, okay, well, you only get 50 people watching your show when you live stream, and we get 500, and we're a featured partner, and you're kind of an asshole, dude.
Exactly.
And, I wouldn't want to book you or your talent on here. No matter how awesome you think that you are, I want to say, I kind of feel sorry that, are they going to last? Are they going to have a career? And they might fit into a certain circle, but that's not really, to me, what electronic music is about. The industry, the entertainment industry can be ruthless. We know it can be kind of cutthroat. We get that, but I don't see it happen too often. And you're right, that how you stated, being humble and being cool and nice is really how this industry could change. So I'm definitely with you on that. When you're not entertaining others, what do you do to entertain yourself? I had mentioned these videos that you make earlier, the Where Are We Going shorts, and I saw the one with what I'm curious to know, you don't seem like a person that'll break the law, but I did see you kind of cross over this no trespassing sign to go down the pathway to deliver what somebody said online was a cranberry cocktail to like a little shrine. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that some of the things you do to entertain yourself when you're not entertaining others?
Oh my gosh, that's my yard. Funny. And it was kombucha. It was not, I don't drink. I don't do drugs and I don't drink. And so it was just a kombucha that had like a really beautiful color. And and I bought this pellet ice, which is so amazing. Yeah, and I was just walking around my yard. I do like being outside. It's really nice, especially, living in Southern California. It's really beautiful. And I live up like away from the city up north. So yeah, it's I like to just sit outside in the sun. It's incredible, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Get that vitamin D, because up here in Seattle, we don't get a lot of it. I was on the road just recently, I was mentioning, and everywhere else it was blue sky as far as the eye could see, no matter where you were. You come right across the pass of the mountains and the rain starts. And I'm like, welcome home. It's
I cherish the rain. So I live in like an old cabin. And so I love rainy days. And when I get to stay home, it's just the best, but it's so rare here.
But you get warm rain down there. You don't get cold rain, like blowing sideways, coming down. Cold.
We do cold rain. It was like 45 degrees here last week, and now it's like 90. It's
awesome. Now, going to more of the technological side of things, or where we're seeing society go with technology, have you looked to doing anything within the virtual reality or VR or augmented reality AR realm?
A little bit, like with the Web3 stuff, yes. And then I did one virtual reality show with Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. I'm still trying to make it in the regular reality, so I don't know. I haven't, honestly, not too much. I was never like a video game kind of person. I wish I was. I feel like video game people are really smart. But I was kind of like a fuck up and not good in school and stuff. So yeah, I never like played video games or anything. So I don't know. It doesn't really like it does spark my intrigue. Like I want to know more. I just don't really know a lot about it. So I am interested in it. Slowly making my way into the virtual reality. I guess it could be nice to escape this reality.
It definitely is an experience. We actually are getting ready to launch our first version of our virtual reality, our VR nightclub. Cool. And yeah, it's been a project. It's been something I've been working on since last year, since I got my first headset. And we're just really excited because, we see it kind of being the early days of the web, but having the ability to see in the early days of the web, you couldn't put music online. You didn't have the bandwidth. You couldn't put video online. And so you could share text. And now that we have the ability to live stream and we have the ability to network with the internet and everything's all there, it's just another end user experience for a group of people that want to experience things in that medium. Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the physical form or the physical appearance, but if you can tap into and have, this is where live streaming was so huge to us. We could go live, and if I was just doing a show here in Seattle, I might have 500 people or 1,000 people show up, but I could do a show now live online and have 40,000 people show up around the world.
Crazy thing during the pandemic, I remember like I was on my tour and some of the shows would be like 1,000 people and I would sell it out, which was like so crazy to me. And then I got home when the pandemic started and the first live stream, and I like went all out as I do. My living room, I had an LED wall and my whole rig set up. Like it was iconic. And I think the first one that I did was actually whose was it? It was a big live stream, and I think tuned in was I think it was Proximity actually. And I think I don't know, but it was like 11,000 people watching or something. And I was like, wow, that's so many more than I would ever play in front of just like at a club one night. So that was pretty cool to think about. I was like, wow, this, even if you like go live or something, it's like 700 people. It's still so many people.
Yeah. And we used to look at the people that understand that it's not just 700 people that are just there, because you have people coming in and going out at all times. So you have unique viewers that are coming in and going out, and that's even more of an audience. And of course, the goal is to capture and keep them there. But I have some of my resident DJs that go, Darren, I was working the local nightclub circuit, and I might get a chance to play in a room opening up and have 50 people there. Yeah. I go on your show, and there's 800 people watching. There's 600 people watching. And I get to be me, and I get to do what I want to do. I don't have to be told. The promoter isn't telling me what to do, or, I kind of give my DJs a lot of free reign. To me, it's their time to shine. I just say, don't train wreck, don't really screw up. But if you do, guess what? At least they know it's not a pre-recorded set, a pre-recorded show. It's live, but it rarely ever happens. But the live.
During the pandemic, they're like, this is Elle's favorite green room because it was my bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. And that's where we started. I started literally in my living room, and then a week later moved my show into my bedroom and called it the new studio, and did that. And funny story, my best friend, she was my ex, but she's my best friend. She hits me up online, and she's like, "That's not a new studio. That's your bedroom. I can tell by the paint on the wall."
Oh, God.
Says it right in the chat room. I'm like, you can't say that in the chat room. Don't do that. I was embarrassed. Now I'm like, forget it. We'll stream wherever. But it was just so awesome to see the rise happen to that. And speaking of Web3, and I'm going to actually turn it just a little bit for you, but you'll see where this is going. You have your own merchandise on your website.
Yeah. And
I was curious, are you going to be, or are you already looking into the NFT market and doing something in that realm?
Yeah, totally. I am looking into that. Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're still trying to figure out that area, that realm as well. It's growing. Had a friend of mine hit me up last night. He's like, Darren, I want to take you out to dinner. I just started an NFT company. And I'm like, and I kind of laugh, and he goes, how come everyone keeps laughing when I say that? I go, no, dude, I'm laughing because I know what you're talking about. And I'm on top of it. Other people are laughing because they're like, oh, you're just jumping on the new fad. This is not a fad. This is going to be something very interesting.
I'm actually playing the first ever, I guess, NFT festival in Las Vegas at Area 15. And it's from the NFT company called After Party. It's interesting. I still am trying to wrap my brain around all of it. And when I posted something about NFTs, I got so much hate, and I never get hate. So I thought that was interesting too.
Wow.
So I'm just trying to educate myself and learn as much as I can, because I don't want to also blindly go into something just for money.
Yeah. The way I look at it is we create a lot of assets through the interviews we do. And I'm talking with I guess I shouldn't give away the secret. I can tell you after the interview what we're doing, because we want to be the first one to launch it. But we create the artwork, or what we're creating are these interviews that we have. Yeah. And how can those be NFT, and it's not about making my first go around at this. I was just talking with my publicist from the UK, because I got two of them. Just doesn't everyone have two publicists? Yeah. And so, long story short, he's like, that's a really great idea. I will totally back that. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that leads right into my next question is there something you'd like to say to new and up and coming producers to watch out for when it comes to making their career successful?
I would say go with your gut and your intuition. And, that's something looking back, if I could change something, it would be that. And honestly, just surround yourself. If you're putting a team together, surround yourself with kind, hardworking, humble individuals who really, truly believe in you. I think that anyone working with you should know all of your music and should, be so passionate about what you're doing. For me, it's been having a team and that's taken me years to finally have a team that really believes in me 100% and believes in me through the good times, the bad times, the weird times, the anxious times, the times when I'm sick. It's not having people that can hold that against you. people that aren't just there for the money, because it's not easy to make money doing this. But yeah, so just working really hard, making what you want to make. If you love a song, I think that if you have good taste, other people will like it too.
Absolutely. I think that is some of the best advice that I've heard, and that I also preach. It's supposed to be about positive energy, not negative energy, or energy that'll take away from you that you have to go back and fill back up. If people are giving you energy and you're able to build off that energy and give them energy back, it's the reciprocation of that is just huge. I think that's one huge thing and a good piece of advice.
Your team should make you feel stoked about life and should lift you up, like, because I like, we're artists. Like, I have days where I'm like, I hate all my music. I hate myself. I can't do this. And like, I need a team that's like, that's going to go through those days with me and not have that discourage them, but like come to me and be like, no, like, you're fucking amazing. And, you work so hard and look at this. And, just someone that's like ride or die for you. Like, that's what you need. Otherwise, there's no point in even having a team. You might as well just do it on your own. And I hard way. So, but I'm so happy right now. So that's good.
If there was one non-famous person that you could put in the spotlight that means a lot to you, other than your direct family or friends, who would that be and why?
Non-famous spotlight. I know, I was like, my family. I find the most interesting people that I meet in my life are, the people who come out to shows and reach out and have gone through similar things to me. And I mean, I know so many people on a first name basis that I've met just throughout this whole journey of releasing music. And I always say those, like, I would much rather after a show go hang out with those people and talk about real shit than go to a nightclub and hang out with like some DJs that are like famous. Like, those people don't interest me. Like, I come from very humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. Like, I grew up in a trailer, and like, I didn't say that until 2 years ago out loud, or 3 years ago out loud in therapy, because I was so mortified and I would hide it at every cost. But like, I want to meet those people, not these kids. Everyone in music comes from so much money. It's really weird. It's like so much. It's so weird. I was just telling my friend that, and she's like, you're so right. Like, I had told her that a while ago, and she's like, I just keep finding this stuff out. And like, to me, that's cool too. But like, I want to meet the people that grew up like me and are want to talk about real things and are genuine, down to earth people. So I'll say Chase Gray. He's someone that I met from putting out music, and he came to my show actually on the Alice in Wonderland tour. And I met him, and he was like, fanning out. And I was like, I'm so excited to meet you. He's like, why are you excited to meet me? I was like, because like, you messaged me online. Like, this is so cool. And we always remember that. And now we're like close friends. It's really cool. Like, honestly, this community has changed my life. And these are the coolest people I've ever met. And I would much rather have these people spotlighted than, those who shall not be named.
Understandable. Do you spend time after your show? Do you go out and meet with the crowd, or do you kind of go back in the green room, or do you make plans with the people that are your fans in town, like offline? I don't want to have the whole world start blowing you up and saying, you're coming to Seattle, I want to hang out with you.
No, like, I do. So at the end of shows, like, so I'm like, what can I do for you? Like, I'm putting on this show, but also I'm like so honored that people are like want to pay money to come see me. Like, that's ridiculously like cool and weird. And so I'm like, what can I do? So at the end, I started handing out flowers at the end of the show. So I walk off even at festivals. Like, I put on, and I was like, wait, I should just put this on my rider. So I started putting flowers on my rider, and they think it's for like the people shopping. I think flowers. And they always like put them in vases and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so I I cut that is my pre-show thing that calms you down. I cut up the flowers and I place them in a basket. And then at the end of the show, I grab it from the side of the stage and then I walk out in front and I hand out flowers and like give hugs and stuff. And that's been really cool because that's been a way to just like be able to see people, you know. I will say it gets exhausting. And then there are people who take it too far and then get upset if you don't like go have like dinner with them and stuff. And it's like I half the time I don't even see like family when I'm on the road because when I'm in tour mode, it's like I can't go out of it or I will start to dissociate and start panicking and like want to go home. So I really have to stay focused and like stay in that. So one of the cool things too is like meet and greets. People talk so much shit about meet and greets, but really it's one of the only ways that artists can break even on tour. Break even, not profit, break even, which is insane. Like we dedicate our lives to this and sacrifice a lot to like do this because we love it and we're very lucky to do it. But it costs a lot of money. And you know, you're essentially paying all these people around you. So anyway, and then managers on top of that, disgusting. They take off of gross. So it's very gross. So you're spending all this money and then they're taking off of the top of that, which is just absurd. So like I was just talking to my friend and they're like, yeah, so I would have broken even on this tour, but I'm paying $10,000 in commissions. And it's like, that's disgusting. Like that's another thing. Don't work with someone that's going to do that to you. But anyway, I don't even know. I'm just like rambling now. Sorry.
No, you answered the questions beautifully. I like people who stay in touch with the fans. Like you said, I'm not trying to target anyone or name names that should not be named, but you know, if you're in it for this status symbol or for money, you're really not connecting with the audience. And will you really have a long-term fan base based off that?
Like my fans, like that's so weird. Like these are human beings. We all at one point, every single person was in a womb at one point, and like we all do weird things, and like we're all human beings. So to me, it's crazy that people think they are above other humans. Like it's very strange. But oh yeah, the meet and greet things, I like to make it very special. So like on the group therapy tour, like I would set up different things for each meet and greet, and we would all just hang out. It wasn't like take a photo and then walk away. It was like, okay, let's all hang out. I do like ice cream parties. Like I always want to have food and water there. So weird.
I want to go to one of your ice cream parties.
Awesome. Let's do
it. Awesome. Well, okay. Is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get going back to work there in the studio?
My self-produced, self-written 8-song Journey to the Center of Myself Volume 4 project is coming out on March 17th. You heard it here first.
March 17th. All right. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear that, see that, listen to that. And then where can people find out more information? Where's the best launch place to go watch that at? Because I know you're doing it to YouTube, but you have your website.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is great too. Like, I feel like I'm always in like the DMs and yeah, Instagram seems to be like a really great place to just like for immediate kind of finding out, you know, things that are going on.
I've been telling people for years all about the hashtags. If you understand how to work that and run Twitter and run Instagram, you can reach thousands and thousands of people if you know your hashtags. So, all right. Well, I've had such a great time talking with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And definitely want to follow up with you later in the year, and especially when you come to Seattle here on your tour.
I think.
Oh, what was that?
I think it's only a couple months then.
It is May. I think it's May 17th.
Okay, cool. Let's definitely touch base then.
All right. So, Elohim, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and we will catch up with you here soon in the near future.
Thank you so much.
And on that note, don't forget to go to our website. This is Darren. That's Elohim. Coming to you live on the virtual sessions brought to you by the DJ Sessions. Don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're out there, the DJ Sessions, or TDJS if you're so bold. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.